Welcome to another episode of Call to Purpose. I'm Amy Coppola, and I'm here with Toni Riley, the author of Bright Side of Broken. And today we're going to discuss where does your anxiety come from? So we're going to actually make this a two-part series because we came up with a lot of topics that cause anxiety. Do you want to tell us, what do you get anxious about, Toni?
A lot of different places.
Do you have one major one? A 16-year-old learning how to drive.
That definitely gives me anxiety.
It makes me anxious too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I don't know if it's the not being in control.
Yeah.
Like someone else is driving the car, the vehicle, who's not experienced, and you're trying to tell them, like, stop.
Yeah. And we both know your son. He likes to just take his hands off the wheel. Freak out moment.
Yeah. Like he's ADHD, so it's like, oh, squirrel. Like, no, you gotta be looking that way.
Yeah.
Things come out at you.
Yes. In his defense, I have ridden with him, and he is a good driver.
He is a very good driver.
Yes.
He's definitely improved exponentially in the last few weeks. So,
yes.
He's ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of different things give me anxiety. That would be one of them. I think the fear of the unknown gives me anxiety. Mm-hmm. If I'm anticipating something stressful, whether it's a new client at work or a big event that's happening, and you may not feel like you're in a good place with it.
Right.
Just work in general. Am I good enough? Am I, are people happy with what I'm doing? Do they feel better? I mean, it could go, the list goes on and on. Finances, because I have my own practice, you don't know what you're going to bring in. It's not a salary, so you have to rely on clients coming in. So sometimes it's like, okay, do I have enough to be able to pay for this and that, and what if?
Yeah.
What if somebody, what if everybody drops off, or you just go to these places that,
and that probably brings you back to your faith, right? To get through some of the anxiety.
All of it.
Yeah.
All of it comes right back to faith.
So we did make a list of a lot of different places anxiety could come from, and environment was the first one that we put down. Yes. So if you're in an environment that isn't conducive to how you want to live, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have to assess your environment and think about, is this making me anxious, right? Mm-hmm. I know that I prefer to live alone right now because it's easier for my anxiety. I don't have to worry about anything. I'm not, freak out moment. Yeah. So
that's understandable.
Yeah.
If you're in an environment where, especially if it's your home, that can make it really difficult.
Right, for sure.
I have been in a past environment where I was really unhappy in my job. And that caused a lot of anxiety because even though financially it was providing, I was completely miserable.
Right.
And so I had to figure out what I was going to do next.
Right.
And how was I going to get out of that, especially because I was financially stable. It was like, well, I can't just up and leave because that would be irresponsible. But that feeling of being trapped, which I know we we're going to touch on that at some point, but just like feeling like you can't, you're stuck.
Yeah, they call that the golden handcuffs when you're when you're strapped to your job because of the financial. Right, but you may not like what you're doing, but you're getting paid and it's paying for your livelihood. That's actually a term that I've heard recently. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah.
You did.
Not until recently. I was also going to throw out a big big place anxiety comes for me is work-life balance, right? Because you have all this responsibility at work and you want to do your best and you're trying to get your job done, meet deadlines, take care of everything. But then you have this struggle of, do I make time to go to the gym? Do I make time to make a healthy dinner? Do I make time to hang out with my friends, right? And if I go and try to do something fun and balance out my work life, I find myself anxious, right? Am I going to, is someone going to notice that I'm not doing my job today? Or am I getting everything done, right? That anxiety of, and obviously I think we're both type A personalities, but I care that I get things done and that it's good, and I'm meeting people's expectations. Probably as I get older, I have a little less of that because it's I'll do what I can do, and COVID actually helped me with that, with taking a step back and not being, you had to take a step back because the first question you asked for your team was, "Are you okay?" Not, did you get this assignment done, right? Are you okay? Is everyone in your family okay? What do you need? And then you could talk about work, but you had to make sure that people were okay, right?
Yeah.
And not freaking out, like try to bring their anxiety down.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that was one of the good things about COVID because it helped you reevaluate your circumstances.
Yeah, if there was anything positive about COVID, it was that, right? Taking the time to slow down and say it's okay to appreciate life and check on people and not just be all about work, right? Yeah.
Usually, they say in times of tragedy or circumstances like that, people come together, but unfortunately, because it was COVID, you were forced to separate and be apart, and that was very difficult for a lot of people. And I'm sure a lot of people were very anxiety-ridden from that.
Yep. Yeah, the isolation, I think, was probably the biggest thing for people. I know that I traveled every week, and all of a sudden I'm sitting home alone, but I'd go for walks outside, and that helped. Back to the grounding discussion that we just had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
So, yeah. How about relationships?
Give it anxiety, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's, there's so many things with that too. And, and I'll just say, like, with friends sometimes, like, there has been some anxiety in my recent past where I wasn't expecting something, and it was like this complete cutoff of a relationship, and I was just like completely blindsided. I had no idea what happened.
Right.
And I was full of anxiety about it for months. I mean, just until recently, and this person is a Christian too, so it was like, it made it even that much more difficult because I felt like, well, gosh, like, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? And it turned out, like, thank God for God and the prayer. It was like, there's nothing you can do. You haven't done anything wrong.
Yep.
Just wait and just lean on me and don't worry about it. This is not your problem. I got this. So it's like, okay.
That's good.
And somebody actually just mentioned this person the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot all about them. And I was like, oh,
isn't that interesting?
God.
Yeah.
Because it was on my mind, like, and I can get a little OCD sometimes about things, and I'll go over in my head over and over about, like replaying things in my head and what I said and what they said. And, I can like stay up all night, and maybe that's why I have such trouble sleeping. Things that are bothering me, it's like I have to be at peace before I can go to sleep, which that lack of sleep, that would be another one that would cause anxiety because you're just, not, when you don't have enough rest, you'll just get anxious. So anyway, back to relationships, those things can absolutely cause issues. Yeah. And, in marriage, sometimes, my husband and I, we have different personalities. We love to do the same things together, but he has a different way of processing stress than I do. He likes to sleep on it. Mm-hmm. And that's how you are as well. Yep. I like to fix it right now because otherwise I'm not going to be able to sleep. Yeah. And so they're both okay. But we have to come to a compromise on that. So
Yes, someone said to me recently that I seem different. And it's interesting because I think you just hit it on the head. I think I always used to be the fixer, like I have to fix the problem. And that would make me not be anxious anymore, right? If I could just fix the problem and make everything okay.
Yep.
And now by sleeping on it, I'm not really anxious about decisions anymore because I realized I don't really have to make a decision
Right now.
Like,
That's awesome.
the world can wait
to that.
right? And I think COVID maybe taught me that too. It's like, you don't have to be hair on fire, going a million miles an hour just to make decisions and try to get things done, right? I think I've learned to take a step back and yeah.
Interesting that you've changed in that way, because I've been working on that a lot because my husband is that way. Like, I have to sleep on it and then come to you.
Yeah.
That I'm like, well, I guess I don't have a choice. I'm just gonna go to bed and like, it's like I'm not gonna deal, but I'm still working through that.
Yeah.
It's still very challenging for me. So hopefully,
well,
maybe
here's
some
the phrase
EMDR.
you use. The phrase you use is let go and let God. And that's kind of what I've started to do, is just, I don't have to make a decision or figure it all out. Yeah. Like, just put it out there and see what happens next, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, very cool.
Yeah, good advice.
Yeah. Our coaches can definitely help people with anxiety, right? Just talk through. And sometimes, I don't know what you do to try to ease your anxiety, but there are things, I think you hit on it with John, is, sleep on it. Sorry, your husband is sleep on it. And, some people go to the gym. Sometimes you have to come up with a plan or set some goals to try to achieve, right? If you need to change your environment, maybe you need to come up with a plan to fix your finances so that you could make less money or save up a lot of money where you wouldn't have to, if you want to switch jobs and you need a little nest egg, or you're stressed out about your bills and credit card bills, whatever you have, right? You might want to get a second job and, work to pay everything off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
It gives me anxiety.
What gives you anxiety? Coming up with a plan
I have to
gives
get
you
another
anxiety?
job. Oh my gosh. Please no.
Love it.
So you mentioned exercise. There has been times where I was like, okay, I know we're not getting along right now, but I'm going to have to go for a little run. And I just literally, like, whatever I'm wearing, I don't care, jeans, whatever, and I'll just run around the block just
Oh my gosh, I love that.
It helps.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm calm now.
Yes,
just
so
one
see,
block.
You do something. Like how. Yeah.
And then pray and, tell God that, like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Help me out here.
Can you clear this up for me?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. But that is one thing, if you do have a life coach, that you can work through those goals and, set them up and figure out where does your anxiety come from and how can you ease it, resolve it, right? Put some plans in place. So.
Yeah. And that is something that has helped me, having, going to counseling or, coach and like getting that assistance that, to help me work through some of those things that I'm struggling with. That's always been a huge help in my life.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think you know this. For January, I put together my goals and it hits the 8 or 9 areas of your life. And I realized in the last 2 years, I've met all the goals that I put down on paper.
Wow.
So if you want to live a purpose-driven life, set some goals and see what you can do. Because I think when you focus and you find your purpose, you can really accelerate what you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, and every year it's a different subject, right? Like finances, check, relationships, check, family, check. So it's good to go through and do that. So
absolutely.
I also realized, sorry, I'm going to throw this out there. When I first started setting goals, when I started meeting them each year, I thought, well, maybe they're too easy, right? So now I've actually made
up the
I've
ante.
upped the ante and made bigger goals, and
Nice.
and I'm still meeting those goals. So it's really interesting because
That's amazing.
sometimes I think that we think smaller and we need to think bigger, right? You know, it's not just like, am I going to buy a new car? What kind of
Yeah.
car do you really want, right?
Yeah.
Be specific about your goals and be specific about, you know, what you're doing.
Well, and you taught Adam and I about vision boards and
Yes.
like clipping out things out of magazines and like putting all your goals on a board so you can see it
Yep.
all year, and then
Yeah.
it all
Do you actually do them?
transpires. I haven't this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
We
I'm
did
not
it
going to
with
yell
you.
at you.
Am I in trouble?
No. You are not in trouble.
Oh, good, good, good.
Yeah, and I've actually learned, like on Pinterest, you can do digital vision boards too.
Oh,
So, and
I
for
shouldn't
people,
be surprised about that. That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
Yeah, for people that don't know what a vision board is, right? You take pictures of all the areas of your life, where you want a vacation, what you want to buy. You know, you want pictures of love in your family. Maybe you're looking for a husband, or you want your relationship to stay healthy. And you just take these pictures and put them on a board, and it's kind of a fun arts and craft day you could do with your family. And there's also digital if you want to be more green about it, and and do it on your iPad or laptop, whatever. So yeah, you can put it in a Word document. You can go to Pinterest, right? You could put that together. So, but it's important to have a vision of where you want to be so that you can actually go down that path and figure it out. So
Cool.
yeah,
I love it.
I love that I introduced you and
I know.
you and Adam to that.
Was so neat.
That's great.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was a fun little project.
I
we
was
did.
introduced to that when I lived in Colorado. A girl was having a party with a bunch of women, and she's like, "Come over, we're doing vision boards." And I'm like, "You're doing what?"
I remember that.
Yes.
Because I think I
so-
came to visit and you showed me your vision board in Colorado.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was my
You
first
had,
one.
had it up in like a spare room or something.
Probably
in
my
your house.
office.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Gotta have a vision, right?
Yeah.
Vision, purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as somebody we know said today, something about something
I
about
wonder who that could be.
finding happiness. But if you can find happiness in drugs and women or men, but
Yes.
or you can have purpose, which brings you happiness.
Yes. Yes. I love it. When I think about overcoming anxiety, I think of a quote that my friend recently shared with me. And it's addiction loves isolation. And anxiety loves isolation, right? If you can be at home alone and just spinning, or sitting at your desk at work and you're just anxious about everything, I think it's good to get a coach. Go talk to your pastor, find a therapist, right? Find someone that can help you resolve your issues with anxiety. We have coaches that can help, just listen to you talk about what you're anxious about, maybe help you come up with a plan, take it to the next level of how can we calm those anxieties down. A lot of times anxiety is really in your head and it's internal. And if you can get outside of that anxiety,
Yeah.
right, and realize that you're not alone. Everybody is anxious about something, I think. But when we have a community faith and we talk about it, I feel like that really helps.
Yeah.
So,
No, I agree.
yeah.
When you mentioned that quote, it brought me right back to someone I knew who had a hard time being alone,
Right?
but they would make themselves be alone to drink
Oh, wow.
alcohol.
Gotcha.
So they would isolate themselves, drink to oblivion, and then get out of isolation.
Wow.
So I knew when they were isolating themselves that they were drinking.
Wow.
It's like, I don't think good things happen when you're
No.
isolated for
Yeah.
a long period of time.
I agree. And I feel like, COVID really helped us. Well, it didn't help us. We isolated, and I think that brought up the overall level of anxiety, just negativity, just spinning on what's
Very
going on
much
with
so.
your life. So, yeah, definitely find a community. Call us for one of our coaches. We can pair people up. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things too during COVID to raise anxiety was, I think people started learning about things that we didn't know about. Things started coming out of the woodwork,
Right.
which is good because I think we were all kind of like had the wool over our eyes.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of things in the world that people had no idea what was going on, and now all of a sudden it's coming out, and it was just like, whoa.
Right.
And so I think that raised that level of anxiety, and then it was like more division in religion and politics and all these things that, and we're still kind of dealing with that now, where
Right.
people are completely on the opposite ends of the spectrum as far as beliefs, and everything's kind of intertwined, and there's just these multiple levels of division that are transpiring, and
Right.
it's like, how do you deal with all these things? Like, so
Yeah.
what better time for you to be in this ministry than now to get someone matched up with someone that they can talk to
Right.
and
Yeah.
help them through all these things that we're
Yep.
divided on. And
Yeah. The same friend that gave me that quote said to me, if we could take the overall grief and anxiety and negativity and change the tide of bringing people together, having a sense of community and bringing out the positivity and, coming together, that we may be able to overturn that, right? Like maybe we can shift the world back to a better place. So I've actually run into a lot of people that are doing different things to bring, the good back into everything. So I highly recommend reaching out and, finding what works well for you. And if it's a coach, if it's a therapist, whatever you need, right? Just, if you need a recommendation, you can send me a note. I can give anyone, someone to talk to.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a revival.
I love it. Yes. So we have so much more to talk about. We have a part 2 where we're going to talk about past traumas, chemicals, some hormone imbalance, different topics there for some of the women and some of the men. So stay tuned for part 2. This will wrap up part 1. We're at our time today. So if you're interested in connecting with us or interested in meeting one of our coaches, visit our website, yourcalltopurpose.com, and we'll see you for part 2.
And tell your friends.
And tell your friends, yes. It will be a great discussion, and I think that you'll find it very useful. So, thank you.